Well, hello and welcome back. Today I want to talk about batteries, what types you should use, what you should use them for, and cooling fans. You can use PC fans for your RC stuff. I'll show you how. And what's the newest and latest project update. Alright, so first we'll start with the project update. This is the car I've been working on. I put a new motor in. It works much better now. It's a little bit faster, so that's good. I fixed the servo problem. Before, this little servo arm would pop out, but I put a little bit of hot glue on the back, and then it seemed to grip it better, so that's good. Now on to the main thing we're doing today, is talk about batteries. These are phone batteries I get from old phones, such as, friends, broken ones, recycling, things like that. And then I can use them for fans, for like this. So if you were using this car and you notice that your motor's gonna get hot because it's bare, it's in this plastic, you're putting a lot of amps through these. Well, you're gonna use a fan. Well, most people don't. They probably use a heatsink, like on the hobby grade stuff. You put a fan on there and cool it down. I've been doing this a long time. See, like phones, you just battery, charge it up in the phone, and then I make some of these connectors. You can solder it on directly, because if you don't have the phone anymore and you just get a battery, I get these little micro USB charge controllers. I'm trying to focus that. There. You use micro USB and it charges battery safely. LEDs, good stuff to know it's charged and discharged. Yeah. But next part is fans, and I have collected a lot of computer fans. Too many. So these are too big. These huge ones, too big for a car, because they wouldn't really fit properly. They just kind of sit on there and it wouldn't look good. But I would highly suggest going on eBay, Amazon, get some cheap ones. So there's two different types. You get these bladed fan ones. There's these, and then there's these blower types that look like a little turbocharger. I like these for some of the bigger cars, because they use only 5 to 12 volts. This is 12, but there's 5 volt ones. But nice thing is, these only use, like, I don't know if it's on here, it's not on here, but it uses 0.15 amps, so not even a half an amp to, blow some air onto your motor so it doesn't overheat, and then, you burn out your electronics, and that's just bad. But some of these littler fans, they're super small, are used on, like, 3D printers, and, I don't know what else. Maybe some computers. I mean, there's all types of fans you can use. These little ones are good for, like, 1/18th scale, or 1/24th scale RC cars, those smaller ones. They don't move a ton of air, but they only use 5 volts, so it's a good type to use for that. And then if you get thermal paste, you can put little heat sinks on there and then mount the fan to the heat sink. Then you don't have to worry about it's more efficient for heating. So there's that. But if you have, like, bigger cars, like a Red Cat, a Traxxas. I have a Red Cat because I love them. They're great. It's too big to fit in the camera frame, I'll do that. But they use this really large, there it is, really large heatsink without a fan. Oh, so you see that's purple. Don't have good lighting over here, but that's that right there. It cools down the motor. It's air cooled then, and then it's just a lot easier for the motor to not. So it doesn't melt the plastic, and if it does, then you've been using it too long. But also, heat sinks are good on ESCs, and this one came with it. Got it from China off eBay. They use this little metal heatsink, air-cooled. Works really well. And they just plug it in through the top. Oh, by the way. You plug it in the top, and you got a heatsink. Because these also get really hot. That's why some of the nicer ESCs got big heat sinks. I actually put a fan inside the WPL. You can't really see it. It's really in there, inside. But it's a littler one. It's like this size, but a lot thinner. I don't know if I have another one, but it's used for, well, because the original motor got way too hot. Like, it would, you know, glitch out the ESC, and then it would make the gear fall off, so then you couldn't really use it, because then it would go boom, and then it would, you know, burst, and then, yeah, it just wasn't good. So I put one of these in there. They're 12 volt. I use 9 volt batteries for these, or you can use a couple of these and put them in series, and then you can make 9 to 12 volts with these, so that's good. But for on the go, there's certain types of batteries you should and shouldn't use. This is a lithium ion. All cell phones are mainly lithium ion. You should not use LiPos. Just gonna tell you right now. LiPos are good for your car, but for a fan, it works. It's just don't have them on a driving vehicle in case it flips and it's external and then it blows up. You don't want that. I used a single cell LiPo once and it literally exploded. It was not fun at all. Yeah. So these are good for on the go because they got a hard shell, metal. Some of these ones you might want to put a protective layer on because they have a shell, plastic, but it's not great. That's why I put them inside the vehicle. So like, if it's inside the body shell, it works. You can use 18650s, which I talked about in my last video. You could use 9 volt. I use the 9 volt for some of them if you need more power, because you know you can get cheap Sunbeam batteries from the dollar store, Dollar Tree. Just go there. Yeah. And if you use 18650s, use a smart charger, because then your batteries won't, you know, overfill and then explode. Or you could use, let's see here, I got a couple of these, as I showed before, also technically a smart charger. Keeps it so it doesn't explode, overcharge, things like that. Yeah, the camera's not focusing, kind of bad. Well, and they're good. This was $5 for about 10 of these. Pretty cheap. So, yeah. And only thing is, don't use them on a huge battery like an iPad battery. I tried that once. And since the iPad battery was almost dead, it drew too many amps, so then it got hot and broke it. And actually, the USB connector fell off. So, that's not good. You don't want that to happen. Because then if that overheats, then it could lead to battery failure or, you know, even worse things. It's bad. You don't want that. But for some of the 12 volts, if you have like a station, and like if you want to just put your RC card aside when you're not using it, but the motor's still hot, I use this really old laptop battery. It's from the early 2000s. I put a JST connector on it, and then I use a 12 volt 3 amp power supply to power adapter to the wall to charge it. It's got an indicator, which is pretty nice, so I use that. These don't discharge too bad. Some of the laptop ones don't discharge and just fall apart and don't work again, like some of them do. But you could also use nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride. I don't like NiCad exactly. It's older, it's a lot heavier, but the good nickel metal hydrides, you can tell by the label. It's kind of hard to see, but it would be Ni-MH, nickel metal hydride. That's how you know. You can use just a regular old to-the-wall charger with a certain plug, like the Tamiya connector. Tamiya, whatever it is. You use these, plug it straight into the wall. These are good batteries. You can use them for that. They're a little bit heavier, but if you have the room and the power on your vehicle, work real good. And it all depends on what you use for. See, on your fan, like LiPos, good for planes and cars, not for the fans, because you might overpower the fan by accident. Don't want that to happen. I recommend fluorine batteries. Just, I don't know if they sell them, but get a hard case for them, because they do get dinged up for crashes and things like that. It's just, it happens. I guess you could use like regular batteries or rechargeable batteries, but I don't know. It's kind of your guys'. I wrap them up the 9 volts in tape just for, you know, so I don't get demonetized because of branding. Stupid. But it also protects it. It's a thicker layer. It's like a masking tape. Get it from the dollar store, pretty cheap. Yeah, I mean, for a station to cool off your motor, get a bigger battery. Or if you use lead acids, they work too for that. For a station, it's pretty small. I got bigger ones, but yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, do that. Subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, comment down below. Since school's out, I'm pretty much always available for questions and comments, so thank you, and I'll see you next time.